I had to get my hair done. And it was hello. Good evening, good evening. We are back to Ask the Advocate. This is your time to get your questions answered, whether you're a school-based member, an assessor, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor, a Republican, a Democrat, whatever you are, we are open to all of your questions. And of course, if you have any problems, I of course can solve them all in the world of special education. All of them in just one swoop or a clever quiff. Is it quiff? Quip? It's quip, right? Are the reading specialist quiff? I think quiff is something really bad, like when you've had too many pork and beans. So we won't be doing that. But anyway, hello, happy Monday. Are we so glad that Monday is over? How many IEP meetings did we finish today? Say it with me. None. How many extra dates do we have in the rest of the year to reconvene? None. And one of our school districts now has a new policy. I won't tell you what school district they are. Katy Independent School District. You know, I've only filed like 800,000 complaints against them. So now they have a set statement that the principal reads that says Katy ISD has not been found non-compliant with Texas Education Agency. So since they're wanting some attention, I'm going to give them some attention. So here, let it be on formal notice. Starting this summer, we will go back and file on every principal in Katy ISD that read that statement. We're filing to take away your licensure. The fact that you knowingly lie about state and federal requirements to deliver special education is unacceptable to myself and my team. And so we're going to file to take your licenses. We're also going to file to take your licenses at the district level. Next question.
Okay. Can a dual certified teacher represent gen ed teacher in ARD reverse trial? Gen ed kid is going to SPED for 10 days.
So you're either one person or the other person, unless your name is Sybil at an IEP meeting. Now, the only time that a teacher has the role of dual certification is in ECSE, Early Childhood Special Education, because as you know, there's no obligation for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds to go to general education. So reverse trial, we don't do trials. I'm not a trial person. If you're in self-contained and you want to trial out some locations that might be suitable for a youngster that hadn't been in gen ed, that's fine. We don't trial. I don't know what that is. Oh, Allison said it is ECSE. So there's no general ed requirement for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. The only requirement for school in most states starts at first grade. Very few states start at kindergarten.
Do parents have to agree to all tests that are recommended, in quotes, for initial IEP evaluation?
Yes. So in the initial IEP evaluation, the FIIE, full initial individualized evaluation, it should be all 8 areas. What are those areas, Karen? I'm happy to tell you. Speech and language to include pragmatic, medical, physical, sociological, a full cognitive profile to include all 7 Gs, formal achievement to include reading, writing, math, oral expression, listening, comprehension, formal adaptive behavior, a psychological evaluation in all areas, and any related or instructional service. Now, reevaluations are what's important and needed to get information for that student.
Okay, so parents have to agree to all tests that are recommended for initial IEP evaluation.
Yes, unless it's not appropriate. If your child does have a vision impairment and they want to do a Braille assessment, that wouldn't be appropriate.
Is it legal to remove a nonverbal student from a class without parent contact?
Remove them? Like you're removing them from placement? You're removing them so you can mop? What does that mean?
Good question. It came from Christy 7523, just in case we get clarification. Okay. Ma'am, do we have any lives coming up? And if so, where and when?
So we're live every Monday night on TikTok at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, but we have a 2-day live in person in the summer for all of you fine people that have decided you have enough of the shenanigans where you work. It's enough, people. Enough already. So June 7th and 8th and July 19th and 20th, we will be live right outside of Orlando. And we're excited those classes are filling up so that you guys can be fully equipped to be full-time advocates to serve kids from the outside in.
Can you use informal data to prove LRE on an IEP goals? And can it be delivered in the general education class?
So that's like 7 questions. So informal data wouldn't go on an IEP progress report. In fact, observations, which would be considered informal, were debunked by the Supreme Court Justices March 22nd, 2017 in the Andrew F. case. The Supreme Court Justices said an observation was simply a teacher's opinion that could not be verified. So we make decisions on a least restrictive environment based upon the totality and preponderance of evidence.
As a teacher, we have to collect data prior to testing. Can we, the teachers, request testing, or can only the parents?
So that's illegal. There's no requirement to collect data. That's something made up that your school district's doing. So let me help you. The law, Child Find 300.111 says, what does it say? It says we are charged with evaluating children who have suspected disabilities who may be in need of special education and related services. It doesn't say Jack or Jill about testing prior. That is just a delay tactic, and it's a violation of the federal law. If you want to really know what the federal law is, I wouldn't necessarily ask people that you work with. I would get a copy of the federal law. So this is the 34 CFR register for the 300s, volume 2 of 4, and that's available in our link. If you don't know what the law is and somebody else is telling you, I would be very concerned if you're taking that as gospel truth.
Can students in SDC get a high school diploma?
Everybody can get a high school diploma. Social development classes have nothing to do with a diploma. A diploma is delivered to a student who's acquired all of the state credits to graduate from high school.
Can charter schools reject transportation services and reduce school days?
Charter schools don't have transportation. Charter schools don't have transportation. Let me just say it a little louder for the people in the back. Charter schools don't have transportation. Charter schools are schools of choice. I have and will never recommend a single student that is in special ed, that is my client, to ever go to a charter school.
Is it appropriate for a general ed student to get a BIP? Or are those only for students with disabilities?
All students are general ed students. All students are general ed students. Some just have special ed services. So if a student has a behavioral need and they need a BIP, then they either need a 504 or an IEP.
Is your child's IEP void if the current SPED director is leaving the district?
No, but it might be time for a celebration. Did I say that?
What?
I feel like I said that. Yeah. Oof.
What's the best goal you've heard for incoming first grader for social emotional learning? Where can I learn about these?
I mean, goals are contingent on the student. So it's not like there is no good goal. It has to do with the unique circumstances of the child. So I can print out 1,000 ADHD goals, but they might have nothing to do with your child that has ADHD. So I'd have to know your child's unique circumstances, meaning the totality of their disabilities, their disorders, their diagnosis, their conditions, how they show up in the world, and then determine on that what social emotional goals we need. I don't know a lot of kindergartners that need social emotional goals. Let's just throw them in the middle of all those wet cats called their friends, the other kindergartners, and social emotional greatness will start to arise, or their social emotional deficits.
Your help helped me get my daughter's school to pay for 4 years of tutoring, counseling, and college. Thank you.
Oh, that's such good news. That's great. That's why we do this.
Can speech do a program with my child who has no official evaluation?
Yeah, if the district wants to provide you direct and related services, and they're appropriate for your student, amen and hallelujah.
School psych here. We are completing a reevaluation, but we can't get consent from the parent to do it. What should we do?
Not do it. Not do it. So special education evaluations and special education services are solely driven by consent of the parent.
How many inclusion sessions would a child be able to skip before the parent should be informed?
Oh, what do you mean skip? Is he like going down to the honky tonk and having a Bud Light and a Marlboro? I mean, that's his lunch break? I didn't know kids got to skip.
We removed a nonverbal from an assigned classroom to place in another classroom due to behaviors. Is this legal?
You removed a nonverbal?
I'm thinking a nonverbal student from an assigned classroom to place in another classroom due to behaviors.
So if the setting is not the right setting, then we make adjustments in that setting. So first I would say, did we make adjustments, right? If it's not a success, we don't go, it stinks to be you, Billy. You're out of here, right? This is not baseball. So what adjustments did we make? What support did we get from the district? What outside set of eyes came in and did some observation and gave us recommendations to change how we address his behavior.
Does a disability category have to have a goal tied to it, such as orthopedic impairment?
So let's think about that. What does the law say? We are charged with evaluating students who we suspect have disabilities, who may be in need of special education and related services. So if you have a disability that doesn't need special education related services, we call that does not qualify. Even in all the districts. I didn't say it. I wanted to say it. I did not say it. I kept it inside. But I think y'all can hear me anyway.
You kept it in your mind? Wow, that was your inside voice.
I wrote it down on a Post-it note.
Can they place a student on a pre-vocational track without documenting that on an IEP?
There's no such thing as a pre-vocational track. What is that? Is that like on what part of town is that? Where do y'all live? Near the pre-vocational track? There's no such thing as a vocational track. That's not a thing. You can,
in a district,
you can give a child supports and services and goals for vocation, but there's no vocational track.
Can a district put a limit on the number of minutes of support a student can get in general ed?
No. Heavy on that, no.
What is the best way to become an educational advocate?
Train with us. Nobody does it better. Nobody does it better. I think from this podcast, somebody's probably going to call and give me a recording deal from that. Don't you think,
Really?
Cindy? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Yeah. So you would email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com, and all of our classes are listed at specialeducationacademy.com.
What is an acceptable number of kids to have on your caseload?
Good kids. I mean, it's all relevant, right? I don't know. Are they children that are dyslexic? Are they children that are emotionally challenged? I mean, it's hard to say.
Special education teachers are sending kids to music when it's convenient for them. How do I approach this?
Well, if it's part of their schedule, it's a violation of FAPE if they're not doing it all the time.
How can a school district not provide school to a child with autism? Previous school's program ended.
Sounds like a sad story. So you are charged with educating these children enrolled in your school district, period. Whether that's in your state, out of state, hospital, criminal justice system, homebound, you're charged with educating them. You're charged with providing them a FAPE, a free appropriate public education.
How can I get a diagnosis without insurance in Texas?
You don't need a diagnosis for special education. You need the school to do a robust evaluation to determine if they meet criteria for educational eligibilities.
How can that's a duplicate. If you're not reevaluating because of no consent, does that mean it's a stay put?
Stay put only occurs when you file due process. I wish it did. I wish it did. I would tell my parents not to sign. It would stay put.
Do I have to sign the IEP?
Were you at the IEP? Were you in the meeting at the IEP? To not sign looks like to a fact finder, an investigator, a mediator, an attorney, or a hearing officer that you didn't participate. If I participated in something, I'm certainly going to sign and capture my position. Not signing is like some sort of, I don't know, I think that you think it's some hostage situation with the school. It's not. They really don't care if you sign or don't sign.
Can a school deny ABA services during school based through insurance, like one-on-one services?
ABA is not a school-based model. An ABA is a phenomenal product for kids that need a high level of support. It is one-on-one with non-stop reinforcing. We do not do that in public school. So the school district does not have to allow any outside providers that are not employees in their school district.
I need help. I'm confused. Can you please explain to me how a one-on-one aid would be considered restrictive?
Well, you have one person attached to one child. That is the most restrictive model you can get. So, and when you have a one-on-one aid, it's very hard to measure, progress monitor the data. And so it would be very rare in 28 years that I can think of one child that needed a full-time one-on-one for all 385 instructional minutes of the day. If that's the case, then we need to have a different setting than general ed public school.
Does the lack of educational opportunity affect SPED referral timelines?
Yeah.
It's a SPED family history.
Yeah. I mean, if you've been, I don't know, living on a mountain with your parents and you didn't get education, that's going to impact your ability to answer a GIA, right? Your general intelligence, the amount of information that you've learned over a lifetime. So I'm going to answer this question. Somebody said, what can we do about House Bill 4545? Tell them to keep their House Bill 45. Tell them to put it on a piece of white bread with some Miracle Whip. We're not interested. House Bill 4545 is tutoring for kids that didn't pass the state test at grade level. Most kids that didn't pass the state test aren't at grade level. So you giving them some more grade level, good job. Except for it doesn't do anything for the holes that need to be filled in. So we would say, thank you for the offer of House Bill 4545. We will accept 0 minutes this instructional year, knowing that the school district is RWA. They're ready, willing, and able. I'm so sick of hearing RWA. We are ready, willing, and able. Are you? Because it's hard to tell. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, House Bill 4545 is something they have to offer you. You do not have to accept it. Oh, that was from Mommy Needs a Coffee.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ready, willing, and able. Can I have that in writing, please?
I don't know that they're willing. I know they're able.
Do you provide advocacy services? I need help with my son's IEP. Thank you.
So we have a team of partner advocates. So just reach out to us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. Somebody just said they're not willing. That's right. We have a lot of filtering by TikTok. Somebody must need a snack. That's all I can say.
Grab the snack.
If we can't say something nice on Monday nights, what are we doing with our lives?
Well, this person says, I wish you could put on a class or something for our district. We so need you.
We do. We do professional development for school districts all the time.
CID ASD student is setting 3. At what point is it not a good setting if they physically hurt staff?
It's not a good setting if people aren't safe. If people aren't safe, any of the peoples are not safe, there is no learning. So the first thing that we have to do is make sure everybody in the building is safe.
How do I get my autistic nonverbal student or son, daughter, in ESY? They're in kindergarten.
You have to have a need. So ESY has 2 prongs. First prong is documented regression with a profound amount of time to recoup the skill in their IEP progress reports. or concern for loss of critical skills. It's taken them a year to learn these skills, and you're not willing to give up 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks to have a severe summer slide.
This is kind of like one before. Can they extend an IEP without a signature?
Extend?
Or consent?
Extend it for what? When you're in a better mood and you want to sign? You provide notice and consent. The parent reads through it, understands it, and either provides you consent or they don't. There's nothing else that you can do unless you want to take them to a due process hearing.
Can we train with you?
Well, come on. You're training with me right now, so that's the first step. You can join the academy. All the cool kids are in the academy every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central. We train. We are in series. We have over 300 hours of past trainings that are there. Forgive my bangs. Some of those were not a good choice. But you need to be ready, willing, and able to represent your child, your friend's child, or if you do this for a vocation. And then people take the 2-day intensive. The 2-day intensive is on demand. It will make your head hurt by the first few hours of how little you've been taught in school or any other area. And then the mastermind is available after that for people that are full-time advocates and are ready to replicate our processes, practices, and procedures and protocols in an IEP meeting. That's a lot of P's, wasn't it? Yes. Raise your hand if you like a good alliteration. Thank you. Rachel's like, what's an alliteration?
If collaboration is on an IEP for 45 minutes a week, is a special education teacher just being in there enough?
What's collaboration? Collaboration is not a thing on an IEP. Collaboration is a law. So we have direct services, consult, and integrated. I don't know nothing about no collaboration.
What does totality of students' disability mean?
And you have to take in the totality of the student's disability. So if a student has ADHD, that's one kind of student. If a student has ADHD and autism, that's a different kind of student. If a student has ADHD and autism and their dad just died, that's the totality of the student, right? It's not just an eligibility. You have to think of the child as a whole person and how they're showing up in this world right now and what they're experiencing.
Need to get in on your trainings. The district isn't providing services for a legally blind student.
Oh, please get in on our trainings and please contact us.
Love this one. Is developmental delay an eligibility?
It's an irritating eligibility. That's what it should be called. Irritating eligibility, IE. Yes, it's allowed in, I think, only 6 states still use it.
What do I do if parents don't speak English to advocate for their student?
Then the law is you have to provide the parent an interpreter.
What do I do if I don't agree with the IEP?
Tell them that you don't agree and then provide the data that supports your disagreement.
Cool. We've been on a stay put for 5 years because of a parent not signing.
That's not a thing.
How long?
That's not a thing.
Oh.
Stay put is only when you're in a hearing. So you mean stay put that you didn't get to do more testing? I'm sure the IEP is not the same as it was 5 years ago. Stay put means the IEP services and location of the services don't change. So I'm in stay put with a child who's a sophomore, and we started when he was a 7th grader. He had a due process. Then we went to a federal appellate. So, but obviously his goals have changed since 7th grade. But the location where we deliver those goals has not changed. And even though the school is so mad about it, he continues to be an A student. But they think that he needs to go to a more restrictive setting. And we said, we don't think so.
What do I do if a child has a physical disability that allows them to need the bathroom attendant? Can I get a one-on-one?
So you don't need a one-on-one for a bathroom attendant. You just need to have a staff member help him with his restrooming and hygiene needs. That would be in his PCS, his personal care supplement.
What is the different setting if the child meets, and it says the number 4 diction requirements? or maybe for different requirements.
I don't understand the question.
I do not either. Maybe we'll see it come through. Be free to be. Okay.
Be free to retype.
I switch the aides up for my students so it's not the same person all the time. Do you agree with this?
No. No. It's hard enough delivering specially designed instruction and then replicating that. Switching or when you said the aides, are they helping provide instruction or are they just there for safety? But if they're providing instruction, replicating IEP goals, implementing accommodations, delivering supplements like a behavior intervention plan, a personal care supplement, a dyslexia supplement, the sameness is going to increase gains.
Substitute non-certified ICS minutes count towards the student's IEP.
Are these trick questions? Yeah. I'm not a surgeon. Can I walk into a hospital and do surgery on you? That's okay, right, Cindy? I mean, you don't have a problem with that. What if I'm a long-term non-surgeon? We have to stop asking the wrong questions. Here's the question you want to ask, my friends. When you're in a meeting, who is the second adult? That's the only credit I'm going to give you. I'm going to assume that you're an adult. So when I'm in a meeting and I say, hey, Elena has math. What is the second adult in the math class? I'm not going to say teacher. I'm not going to say who's a special ed person. Who is the second adult? And then the question after that is, it's Rachel Sinclair. Okay, is Rachel Sinclair a certified teacher in the glorious Georgia? Well, I just want you to know she loves purple and that's one of our mascot colors and we are just so lucky. Ma'am, let me repeat the question. Is Rachel Sinclair a certified teacher in the state of Georgia? These are very simple questions and they are either a yes or uh-oh. Those are your answers. It's yes or no. And most of you have an IEP for your child that they're seeing a special educator. Never. So it's actually worse than not having an IEP.
For the suspected category of multiple disabilities, is ID required for the federal code IDEA?
No. Multiple disabilities is a category that has no specially designed instruction. It solely gives information to the staff about their safety, what they can tolerate medically and physical. There's no SDI around it.
Can school districts move up ARD dates sooner than the annual ARD date included in the IEP?
Yep. In fact, I wish they would move them all. I wish there were no IEP meetings in April. Because this is the month that I grind down all of the enamel on my teeth. Because currently, biting people during an IEP meeting is illegal in all states. Although we are passing a bill at the federal level to change that. I feel like we should be allowed to bite people sometimes. It's very effective with toddlers, and I feel like, we might get more services in an IEP meeting.
What do I do if one of the kids on my caseload has physically assaulted staff and the admin are brushing it off to avoid MD?
Child Protective Services. If somebody was in your front yard hurting a child or a child was hurting somebody else, you would do nothing. Stop waiting on people that are not integrous to do their job. That's 2 snaps right there. I'm going to need to see 2 snaps from the girls. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. If a medically fragile student has a one-to-one nurse and the nurse is sick, what can we do?
So you need to notify the parent that their related service of nursing is not here today. Do you want to keep your student home? Do you think the nurse in the main office is adequate to provide those nursing services?
Are the topics you are addressing specific to your state or are they applicable across the country?
They're applicable across the country for anybody that wants to follow the law.
What happens when you have a hearing?
When we have a due process hearing, so a parent has filed against the school district for denial of a free appropriate public education. It's an administrative hearing. The first half of the hearing is the petitioner's opportunity to present their case in chief, and we do that, fortifying our position with evidence and testimony. Then the second half of it is the opportunity for the school to present their case. And then about 6 or 8 weeks after that, the hearing officer will write a decision. There's a few more steps in between that, and then the decision is posted. Depending on the outcome, the district and or the parent has the right to appeal that outcome to the appellate courts.
They're trying to move my structured class to a room with no bathroom. What should I do?
Let them know that's a concern for you.
Can you explain a little bit about a kid with intellectual disability? Got that after a school eval.
So a student that has an intellectual disability has a cap on their learning. And so it's very important that we get this right. There are lots of kiddos that do not do well on cognitive tests. It doesn't mean they have an intellectual disability. It means that they don't do well on cognitive tests. Often kids with autism do very poorly on cognitive tests or neurological differences, or if they're nonverbal. So just because you're nonverbal doesn't mean you have an intellectual disability. Just because you're visually impaired doesn't mean you have a disability. Just because you're deaf-blind doesn't mean you have a disability. And so, sorry, our friends are calling us. So it's very important that you get that eligibility correct because it penalizes the student otherwise. So I have a student today that we were robustly arguing that he is not intellectually disabled. So to meet the criteria educationally for intellectually disabled, 2 things have to be true. You have to have an IQ that's below 2 deviations from the norm. Below. And you have to have 2 areas that are not normed at average range on formal adaptive behavior. So it's imperative that we get that right, because almost always a student that is categorized with an intellectual disability will spend all or part of his day in life skills. And if you've got that wrong, it's almost irreparable.
I have to apologize to Joe because he asked this question and I just thought it wasn't complete. So here it is. What is a hearing? He's asking, what is a due process hearing?
I know, that's what I said. I explained what a due process hearing was.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Obviously, Joe, you were listening, but Cindy, not so much. She was so busy with her coffee.
I was scrolling to see the rest of the question. And okay.
Yeah, Joe just does not waste his words. What is a hearing? I like it.
Yes. Jelly Belly wants you to know that she's missed seeing you lately because you disappeared from her FYP.
Oh, no. We must be on the FYP. Like, comment, and share. So I'm FYPing because we want to traumatize all the yucky people that make bad decisions for kids with disabilities. We want me to show up when they're trying to go to sleep, when they're trying to do bad things, when they're trying to have an enjoyable weekend, when they have harmed children. That's what we want.
When your child has a device and puts Karen on in the middle of their class.
Yeah, or when your child has a communication device and the school district principal said on a recording and the prior written notice, we will take away your child's device and power it off and put it back in her backpack. How do you think that went with me? How do you think that went, guys?
Old noodle.
I wanted to power her off.
Can you accept more time that school wants you to add to service delivery grid, but not in that placement?
Well, the time is attached to the place. They're not exempt of each other.
You are the only reason for staying awake past 6 on a Monday night.
Oh, thank you. I put the fun back in Monday.
Yes.
And I just want you to know all those school-based people that irritate you, they're watching now. Are they learning? We hope so.
Is it true they do not have to provide support in science because there are no goals for science?
Stop. Just stop it. Yeah. Yeah, I guess everybody just gets 150 in science. Oh. I'm in the state of Texas. So if you have modified curriculum in a content area, science and social studies or content area. By law, you have to have an IEP goal. Silly rabbits.
Any ideas for great questions to ask during a parent-teacher conference?
Do you like children? I'm just kidding. I mean, that's a good starter, right? I would say, do you like dark or milk chocolate? I would say, you know, what is it that I can do to support you? Thank you so much for teaching my kiddo. And I would also say, before I get to the meeting, I want you to be completely transparent with me. It's just data. There's no good news or bad news. Tell me the truth so we can properly serve him at his appropriate levels.
Are the 2-day lives in the summer different?
They're going to be different because I will be differently clever. I never teach the same thing twice, but the content is the same. Girls, have I ever taught anything quite the same twice? No.
No.
There's just so many little hamster wheels going under this natural wig that I clip in.
And they're all spectacular. Can you explain a little bit about a kid with it? Oh, that's a duplicate. Is it legal to deny VPK to a student with disabilities?
BPK?
VPK, voluntary pre-K.
What's a voluntary pre-K?
In Florida, voluntary pre-K is before kindergarten, and you can go if they have
space.
However,
yeah. So voluntary kindergarten is not special ed. So if your child meets eligibility and you believe they have a disability, you can test them as early as when they're 2.5. So if they need special education related services from 3 to 5, you want to have them tested for special education. Voluntary would sound like it's voluntary.
Can you reject placement based on a cohort of kids?
You mean the other hooligans in the class? Can I not take a placement because there's hooligans? No, all the children are hooligans. They're all hooligans and valedictorians. We take a placement because it's appropriate. If you think your child will be harmed in that placement, don't take it. But I think there's so many assumptions about a school, an old school, a new school. I just had a client that I drug her out of a brand new shiny school, and she's in an older school that she didn't want to go to because it wasn't new and shiny. And her son has made 2 years of progress in 1 year. It's been, as Cindy would say, spectacular. So I would make decisions for your child based on your child, not anybody else's feedback, not what happened to Brian, not what happened to Paul, not what happened to Mark, off of your child and their unique circumstances. No parent's experience is the same as another parent.
What to do as a teacher if one guardian agrees to services and the second chooses to pull them from school?
Then they're not going to school. If one guardian does not give consent for services, then it's a wrap. And not a Euro wrap. Is it Euro? How do you say that? Is it gyro?
Euro?
Is it Euro?
Euro?
I don't think it's Euro. I'm going to need to ask Elena knows. Is it Euro? Wouldn't it be spelled E-U-R-O? Euro, like Europe. It's gyro. We don't know. Do any of y'all know? Is it Euro, gyro? I just said out of the rap thing, please.
I'll ask the executive chef later.
Ask the executive chef. He'll know.
Yes.
The pinwheel prince.
That's great. Does the school district have to provide a no-rep, N-O-R-E-P, after an IEP meeting?
Does that mean you're not lifting weights? No rep. So after the end of an IEP meeting, you have to provide a prior written notice. That's a legal document. I don't know nothing about no rep.
Okay. Can a student who has turned 21 during the school year receive ESY?
Yeah. Because we address ESY every academic year. Travis says it's gyro. Travis is never wrong. Gyro. Isn't that how you get in trouble, like at the 8th grade dance?
Why do you always have to fight for what your child needs?
Because they don't want to give it to you willingly. And I think the main reason is because tell a woman, tell the world. And if you do it for Elena, we're going to have to do it for Rachel. If we do it for Rachel, we're going to have to do it for Stephanie. I think that we don't care about special ed children the same way that we care and celebrate general ed students. And that's unfortunate, but I will do everything in my power and in my lungs and in my teeth, whether they're here or clip in or glued on for the rest of my life, to serve kids with disabilities. When we really think of kids with disabilities as equal as athletes, academia, kids that excel at other things, then we'll be in a better place.
What is the role of a co-teacher in an integrated classroom?
I don't know what the word integrated classroom means. All classrooms are integrated. So the co-teacher is a certified special educator that is there for the entire totality of the instructional minutes. So if the block is 50 minutes long, that co-teacher is there the entire time. They both provide instruction for the entire class.
Wonder Woman wants to know, any advice for a new LEA ECSE specialist starting in August?
Just remember me. Just remember, we want to do what's right for kids. It's only about one thing: successful student outcomes. And everybody has a dog in the fight. But remember, the most important person at the IEP meeting is the parents. They are the expert. And don't get stuck in recommendations from some Yahoo in a building that never works for kids, but do what's legally right for students.
Can a charter school change placement without my consent?
Why would you be at a charter school? Why? Why would you be at a charter school? Tell me about the greatness of a charter school. Tell me about their limitless staff members to provide special education and related services. Tell me about the bus they don't have. Tell me about the adaptive PE they don't have. Tell me about the braillists they don't have. Tell me about the music therapists they don't have. Did I mention I'm not a fan of charter schools? I don't know if I've mentioned that. Did I mention that? I think I did. But nobody can change placement without an IEP meeting.
Why would a social worker ask if I've ever considered residential treatment but tell me he does not qualify?
Because she's gathering information. Cindy. Doesn't Cindy have the best sounds? Yeah, and somebody asked again, what is that book? This is the book. This is the law. I doubt you've ever seen one of these in an IEP meeting. They don't have the law. They just have these little stock answers. So this is the Federal Code, 334 CFR, Volume 2 of 4. This is the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. If it doesn't exist in here and you hear about it in an IEP meeting, somebody might be giving you disinformation. And I am allergic to disinformation. It's time. Okay. Is that a purple Post-it? Okay. I feel like I rise to the level of having a permanent laminated. Permanent. It's time. So how do you get that book? You get that book by going to our link, Special Education Academy, and go to the Advocates bookshelf. The other book that you need is this book. You need both of these books. Okay, I was training today some of my leaders, and you will really know about disabilities and the acuities of their disability. The DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So you will have to put these tabs in yourself. I would love to tell you that I put the tabs in, but somebody who was very melancholy did. So both of these are available at specialeducationacademy.com. You just scroll down to the bottom, and they're under the Advocates bookshelf, or you can just go to the link in any of our platforms and find it there. So if you need help, just reach out to us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. If it's come to the end of the year and you know that you now need to realize that you need to file, all of our partner advocates are available to file a state complaint, mediation, or a gangster federal complaint with U.S. Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. And remember, we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. If we didn't get it right for the child, we didn't get it right for anybody. It's never too late to start again serving your kiddos. We'll see you guys in the next training.